Off-Road Plus is your friend. Traveling time and space in your 392. Off-Road Plus takes the already crazy 392 and makes it the 470 horsepower beast that you imagine it to be. Going to talk a little bit about some of the things I've discovered playing around with the Off-Road Plus. Right now we're going to take a little ride through Fort Myers Beach area and we'll talk about it. I've done some unofficial testing. Let's go into Off-Road Plus and select Off-Road Plus. Off-Road Plus is on. Turns on the off-road pages. Played around a little bit to try and find out some of the differences and see what I could figure out with it. This is a 2022 392. I've got 8,703 miles right now. It is my daily driver. It's a non-XR and it's stock, except I have 35s on it. So it spends a lot of time on the road. I'm going to say 85% of that time is probably in stop and go traffic. 15% maybe highway. August in Florida, South Florida, so hazy, hot and humid. Pays to have a pool. Some of the things that I've been noticing, first off, is that I get better gas mileage when I'm using Off-Road Plus in and around town. I haven't taken any really long trips. You know, I've gone a couple hours in the vehicle, but I haven't done anything really long distance. So I can't address that. What I can address is the fact that my typical driving, I was averaging between 12 and 12.7, you know, total driving with everything combined. And when I started running in off-road mode, I found that I can get into the 14s relatively easily. So I'm getting up to in the 14 miles per gallon without really breaking a sweat. When you're in Off-Road Plus, I found it seems to be easier, at least on this vehicle, to keep it into 4-cylinder. So if you're into trying to conserve gas while you're doing what you're doing, to me in this vehicle, Off-Road Plus is a definite must. I really am amazed at how easy it is to stay in 4-cylinder when you're just kind of normal driving around town, like in some of these slower speeds here, like 35, 40, 45, 50. Anywhere between like 30 and 55, 60 is super easy to keep this thing in 4-cylinder when you're in Off-Road Plus. So right now I'm in Off-Road Plus and I've got the sport exhaust off, just because it's early morning and I'm coming through this neighborhood. But it really is much easier to stay in 4-cylinder when you've got Off-Road Plus on and you're not like hammering the pedal. Like I said, I don't know if that's specific to my vehicle or not, but it seems like when you're in Off-Road Plus, if you really try, you can manage it pretty well. Now, some people don't like the sound when it goes into 4-cylinder. I don't really mind. It reminds me of WRX or something like that. So, like right there. So, I didn't even let off the gas. I've been holding my foot steady, and I just dropped into 4-cylinder. And that's what I mean. It will never drop into 4-cylinder like that when you're in normal drive mode. You can keep it in 4-cylinder more often in Off-Road Plus when you're just normal everyday driving. I'm not talking about racing from stoplight to stoplight. I'm talking about when you're driving in a bunch of traffic and everybody's going the same and you're just trying to keep things going. And you can modulate it and play with it a little. I've been able to actually increase and accelerate a few miles an hour when in Off-Road Plus. But you can accelerate in Off-Road Plus when it's in 4-cylinder, you know, a mile 2 per hour, and it'll be fine and it'll stay there. But so let's see, 30, 35. I mean, I had to really step on that pedal before it finally came out of 4-cylinder. Which I can appreciate when gas is, you know, $6, $5 a gallon. You can't hammer the gas pedal if you're just driving on a flat road and it's in 4-cylinder and you're in Off-Road Plus. If you gently just touch that pedal, you can start incrementally accelerating 1 mile or so at a time. If you put any kind of oomph into that pedal, it's definitely going to be a problem and you're going to come out of 4-cylinder. My vehicle, I get better gas mileage in Off-Road Plus. I'm not saying that's going to be true on the highway, but running around town and the kind of driving that I'm doing, stopping and going, Off-Road Plus is the way to go. So I'm convinced that in Off-Road Plus, you can conserve some fuel, and if you don't mind the sound of the 4-cylinder, I tend to drive with the car with the sport exhaust on all the time. I do turn it off when I'm in neighborhoods and stuff where I'm trying to keep a low profile or out in the woods in nature, but for the most part I'll keep the sport exhaust on. So this is one of the great things about having a 392 as my daily driver, and here I'm coming from a job and I know where there's some back roads to take, and here I am, which around me there's not a lot of back roads, so when you get a chance and opportunity to do something, you got to take it. The vehicle feels definitely more aggressive and sensitive in every facet when you are in Off-Road Plus. Traction control is off. It's a little bit more quick to respond to your movements through the steering. It's definitely faster pedal wise and shifting wise, a completely different beast. When you are in Off-Road Plus, it takes this vehicle from the sedate, mild-mannered trail cruiser to the beast that you expect with 470 horsepower. That's the edge that everybody is missing. When you're in Off-Road Plus, it has that feel. It's crazy fast, even just in regular mode, and Off-Road Plus takes it to the next level. I don't know if you want to be all the time, you know, Off-Road Plus. I'm not sure what the detrimental aspects may or may not be of it, but in times where you don't need the full power, why not? I'm in 4-cylinder right now. No issue with that. It says I'm getting 22 miles to the gallon, which is way better than 8 or 10. So if you're trying to conserve fuel, Off-Road Plus seems to be a good prospect. At least this vehicle for me and my kind of driving and where I am. The handling of the vehicle is much more direct, much more instantaneous, I guess I should say, when you're in Off-Road Plus. It's a little bit, I don't want to say twitchy, but more sensitive to your inputs. And traction control is off, supposedly, although I don't think it's fully off, because I'll go into that later. I've had a couple things when I was testing it where I noticed when I was doing some dirt testing that in Off-Road Plus, I launched at like 2,800 RPM doing a brake torque, and it just bogged. It did not like that initial, but I've had great results in Off-Road Plus just banging out and letting it go. So I don't know if I didn't have the RPM up high enough, which is something I've got to test a little bit more. But it seemed like it was, at that point in those tests, it seemed like it was grabbing quicker in regular mode because of the 4 wheels grabbing. It seemed like the off the line launch was quicker when all 4 wheels were grabbing. The brake torque action is also a thing that really works, and you brake torque this thing. I've had it started, you know, maybe about 3,200 RPM and let go, and this thing will rock it up. It launches good and hard, all 4 tires grabbing. In the dirt, it's a great way to have some fun. Off-Road Plus was a big bog right there. It did not like that. That was an interesting launch. This will be a normal mode. So that's something I need to do a little further testing on, but it's definitely a thing. Considering you're in the dirt, you feel it and it takes off and give you a good launch. Big Carlos Pass. You want to look at the beach? Gulf of Mexico. I guess I'll find out how good I'm holding it when I'm done. Man, it's hazy today though. Tell that if I'm going to hit it, it's going to have to be above 3 and the brake wants to cut loose. But then again, it's hot as hell out. I've been driving it everywhere. Definitely not the best time temperature to be testing things like this in, especially after driving for the last 3 or 4 hours, you know. Off-Road Plus is your friend. Why is it your friend? It's your friend because it can help you conserve fuel and save gas. It gives you quicker shift. It makes your gas pedal more sensitive. Holds shifts longer. It'll allow you to do a brake torque and get an incredible launch out of a Wrangler. Those 2 words, a good launch, that sentence, a good launch out of a Wrangler, is like an oxymoron, but it's so true in this thing. Off-Road Plus, even just from a straight dig, it'll cook. Give it a little brake torque, maybe up to about 2,500 RPM, and watch it rocket away. It seems the overall handling and the feel of the vehicle is tightened up and made more sensitive. So it does have the traction control off, which you may want to consider if you're not the best driver or not used to driving cars without traction control, because this vehicle is a handful. It's a muscle Jeep. It's not a sports car. You can't go flying through S-curves in this. What are some of the benefits of Off-Road Plus? To me, it's like a sport button. You get quicker throttle response. You get more sensitive throttle pedal. You get faster and more firmer shifts, and it will hold those shifts longer as it sees needed, depending on the situation. You'll get that glorious sound in between gears when it's shifting. If you're good with a throttle pedal, you can get a fantastic sounding downshift by blipping that throttle right before you come up to a stop. You also get the brake torque reserve function, which allows you to hold the brake pedal down and increase the throttle pedal, and it builds up pressure in the manifolds to prepare for a quicker launch, so it doesn't have to fill. It's already full when you let off the pedal. And remember, Off-Road Plus is your friend.